Well, hello to all of you, and I just want to welcome you to Cal Poly and welcome you to our College of Science and Mathematics community. My name is Dean Wendt, and I'm the Dean of the College of Science and Mathematics. I use the pronouns he, him, his. Now, you might be wondering what my job is as the Dean, and I guess in the largest context, I can say that it's to ensure that you're going to be receiving a quality education while at Cal Poly, that you're engaging with knowledgeable and passionate faculty and staff, and that you're learning in a community that embraces who you are and enables you to discover new things about yourself that you didn't know. And it enables you to discover new things about the world in which we live. So I'd like to start first, though, by acknowledging that though we're not physically together on campus right now, some of you are here in the residence halls, some of you are in your hometowns. I want to acknowledge that Cal Poly sits on the land of the indigenous people of San Luis Obispo County, the Yaqui Tutu Yaktelhini Northern Chumash tribe. And we are grateful to be here as visitors on their land. Now, 3 decades ago, I sat where you are. I was a new transfer student, a first generation student, arriving to the Biological Sciences department here at Cal Poly. And I didn't know at that point that I would someday become a scientist, a professor, let alone a dean. And it was really the dedication of the faculty and staff that here that helped me learn things about myself that I didn't recognize when I arrived. I realized that I loved nature and biology, that I loved organisms, how they survived and how they function. I discovered here through my own hard work and the dedication of those faculty and staff that you're going to be working with, that I was a biologist. And that self-discovery, it took me on a course that led to earning my PhD from Harvard University, becoming a professor at the University of North Carolina. I did a postdoc in Hawaii at the University of Hawaii. And then in 2002, I rejoined the faculty here in the College of Science and Mathematics in the Biological Sciences department. And I was an assistant professor there. So my journey brought me back to this community and to this college. Now, your Cal Poly beginning is very different from mine, and actually it's different from any of the students in the history of the university. And you've already had to face a high school graduation that was a celebration that you probably didn't think would be the way it was, and it wasn't the one that you deserved, or you had to spend your last year at a 2-year college, learning remotely and not being able to go through their graduation ceremonies in the way that you thought you would. And you've already made a lot of tough choices about college, whether to start right away or to wait, defer a year, whether to come to San Luis Obispo and live here or keep living at home. Usually we're all together in the Performing Arts Center here on campus, and right now we're in a Zoom. So clearly things are very different for you than they were for me, and like I said, for any other students that have started. And to be, really frank, for some of you, this pandemic has touched your lives in very close and personal ways. And I just want to acknowledge that it is a difficult time with a unique set of challenges. And at the same time, I want you to know that the Cal Poly education is still one of the best in the country, and your time here can still be one of the best times in your life. So college is a place for you, as I mentioned, to discover a path that leads you to pursue your passion. And research actually shows on college students, it shows that the most successful students find something that they care about, and they let that passion drive their academic career. So it's really important to your success to find a pursuit where you can learn and discover and innovate in collaboration with your faculty mentors, where you can focus on solving problems that are important and meaningful to the world. And this is how you can discover who you are, which is the most important thing you'll learn here. So you have an incredible opportunity in front of you to be trained in the areas of science and math or education. It's truly a privilege. And when you graduate, you will have the responsibility to use that privilege to do good and to do well. So today, before you head off and talk with your department community, I want us to have a conversation about how to take full advantage of your time here and how to grow and develop personally and professionally, and how to get the most from the incredibly smart and talented people you will work alongside during the next several years. So to start, I want to introduce you to a few folks who are going to help us in this conversation. They're all current students here at Cal Poly in the College of Science and Mathematics. So if the students could turn their video on so you can welcome our new students, that would be great. Good to see all of you this morning. Thank you very much for being here. To start, what I would, and I will go around here, what I'd like you to do is to give your major, your hometown, and something you love about Cal Poly, and something you want to improve. So let's start with Komal.
Hi everyone, my name is Komal. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm a fourth-year biochemistry and psychology double major from San Jose, California. Something I love about Cal Poly is the community that we have. I found a lot of support and a lot of help, and not only in my peers, but in my professors, and that community has helped guide and shape my path here. And something I'm working to improve on is to empower my fellow students to take matters into their own hands. And if they want to change something or see something done, that they feel like they're in the position to be able to do something about it.
Thank you, Komal. Carly.
Hello, my name is Carly Knox. My pronouns are she, hers, and I'm a fourth-year chemistry major, and I'm originally from Houston, Texas. Something I love about Cal Poly, simply put, is the people, students, and of course faculty. And one thing I am working to change improve upon is accessibility. I want to try my best to bring the resources I have found, such as research and the scientific community, which are the core of the culture of COSAM, to anyone who wants to pursue it.
Thank you, Carly. Ashley.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm a fourth-year marine sciences major from Vacaville, California. Something that I love about Cal Poly is the opportunity that students have to participate in hands-on experiences. As a marine science major, I've gotten to go on lab field trips to local tide pools and beaches. I've helped out with outreach events for elementary school kids and projects at the Cal Poly Pier. So just all those hands-on experiences is something that I love about Cal Poly. Something that I'm working to improve is just outreaching to younger students and being there as a resource for them, and just making them feel welcomed to Cal Poly.
Thank you, Ashley. Sam.
Hi, my name is Sam Park. I am a fourth-year microbiology major from Los Angeles. Ashley kind of took my favorite thing about Cal Poly, which is the amazing hands-on experience that you get. I'm still going to talk about it. I love how Cal Poly very much focuses on the hands-on experience in every aspect, from your typical science lab all the way to political science or even English classes. It really does focus on trying to get you that real world experience, so that when you do graduate, you'll be well prepared for whatever field that you go into. Like I can tell you that, you won't be able to start doing research like as a sophomore or even as a junior at pretty much any other colleges in California. But at Cal Poly, you'll have that experience, so that when you do go looking for jobs, you'll be able to stand out amongst all the other peers that graduated from any other similar institutions. And one thing that I'm working on improving at Cal Poly is improving accessibility. in pretty much every aspect. Even though there are a lot of opportunities at Cal Poly, one of the biggest issues that I keep seeing and hearing about is that there is a lack of accessibility, whether it's lack of outreach to informing people about these opportunities, or whether there are people who feel that some opportunities aren't just meant for them, even though they're trying to target everyone. So I really do want to work on that so that everyone at Cal Poly has and feels like they have the same opportunity to succeed as every other student.
Thank you, Sam. Kara.
Hi, my name's Kara. I use they and she pronouns, and I'm a fourth-year biochemistry major with a minor in Spanish. I'm an out-of-state military student, so I don't really have a true hometown. Something that I love about Cal Poly are the small class sizes and the large amount of labs that we have that allow me to become really good friends with some of my professors and be able to joke with them at office hours and have a good time even when we're stressed in labs. Something I want to work to improve within our college is inclusivity and talk about why racism in STEM is a problem.
Thank you, Kara. So I hope what you got from that is there a lot of great things about the College of Science and Mathematics and Cal Poly. But we're going to hear from one more student first, and that is Laura.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm going to be a third-year applied math major with a minor in statistics. Currently I am from Thousand Oaks, California, but I am originally from the Milwaukee area of Wisconsin. So you might hear that accent come out just a little bit. One thing that I love about Cal Poly, especially my department and the College of Science and Math, is like Kara said, the small class sizes and how close you can get with your professors through office hours. And just because the classes are so small, there's not really a ton of big lectures, so you can really foster those relationships with your professors, which helps you not only in your studies, but later on in life. And then one thing that I am working to change and improve is the connections that you're able to make outside of your major and outside of your college, not feeling like you have to stay confined to the opportunities that exist within your department or within the college, but feeling like you can go to another department's club or another event and not feel outcast because you don't fit into the bubble that you think they're looking for, but realizing that everything's open to everyone.
Thank you, Laura. So, as I prematurely said, you heard a lot of good things about Cal Poly, and obviously you connected to those because you're here and you're with us. But what I also hope that you heard, and I wanted to give the students the opportunity to share, is that we're always in a state of continual improvement. There are always things that we can get better at and that we can do better. And if you were to summarize the bullet points of what the panelists shared with you, it's my charge as the dean. These are the things that I need to be working on because I'm here to serve the students and the faculty and staff. So we're in a constant state of growth and improvement. And that's what I hope for all of you too, and the idea, like Komal said, I think is really important, that when you come here, this is your community. And if there's something you want to change, you should be empowered to do that and work toward that. And that really is a very important lesson for when you move on from Cal Poly too. So I want to start our conversation about studying. Okay, and the ways that folks approach their studying and how you might think about approaching it. And so to start, though, we're gonna do something a little more interactive. We're gonna run an anonymous poll. So all the folks that respond, we don't know who responded. We just know that you did, and there's the poll. You're all doing it. So how many hours a week did you study in high school or at your two-year college? So we'll let those Results come in. Okay, we're getting there. We're at 84%. Okay, I think that that's good. We could probably end the poll. And what you see is that there is a nice distribution of the amount of time that people put into studying outside of class before they arrived at Cal Poly. And the mode here is 0 to 5 hours a week, with a very close second of 6 to 10 hours, and then it tapers off quite significantly, but still some people were putting in between 10 and 15 plus hours. So I want to ask another question. So let's keep that in mind. The average here is probably somewhere around 10 hours, I would say, if we had to take an average. So, but let's take another poll here. I want to get another idea. How many hours a week were spent on extracurricular activities like music or dance or sports or something not inside the classroom? Okay, great. We could probably, in that one, you could see that people spent a significant amount of time on extracurricular activities when they, before arriving here at Cal Poly. The mode here is 11 to 15 hours. So the average is probably somewhere close to that given this distribution. And so I think we could safely assume that on average, students probably spent about 10 hours doing extracurriculars, and on average, 10 hours studying outside of class. Well, I want you to add, so that's about 20 hours outside of class doing things related to school. And then if we think about the amount of time that you actually spent in class, you were probably in class about 6 hours a day for 5 hours a week. That brings us up to about 30 hours a week that you were in class. And so if we add that all together, you may not have realized this and known it, but you were putting in about 50 hours a week to your school and related activities, about 50 hours a week. And so here at Cal Poly, we have a program called 25-35. And what that is, and the students will all tell you about it, is that we expect that your studying is going to be about 25 to 35 hours a week outside of class. Okay, and so don't get nervous about that. It's very different. The amount of time that you actually spend in class is only about 15 hours a week. Okay, and so if we do the arithmetic, you're really not in that 25 to 35 outside of class. You're really not putting any more time into work in college than you did when you were in high school or at a two-year college. The difference is how you spend that time and how you will study. And so I want to ask the panel a question here. And that is, and can we remove the poll now? How did your studying change in college as compared to high school? Because I think that is a very important difference. Even if the total time may be the same, it's how you approach it's very different. So Kara, do you want to take that one?
This is a great question because in high school, I took a lot of advanced classes. And so I thought that I was studying all the time, but all I would do would just take some notes from my textbook at night or do the required worksheets. And I was around the 6 to 10 range when I came to Cal Poly. And then I quickly learned, like in college, that's not the way that studying works for me. So I do a lot more of my studying in groups and with friends. And so we'll tackle usually when you get homework, it's not always required. So it's just assigned and it's like, oh, do it if you want. You don't want to turn it in. But I learned quickly that I should actually do the homework. And so me and my friends, usually we go to Baker, the library, or in the Zoom format, we'll have like Zoom hangouts where we write questions on whiteboards and just talk out through questions together. And that's the bulk of my studying. And the great thing about that is that you also get to spend time with your friends in your classes.
Thank you, Kara. Komal, do you want to answer that question for us as well?
Yeah. When I was in high school, similar to Kara, I kind of just like read the textbook. I took some notes. Maybe I did some problems and I did fine. But that's kind of like where you start. I realized that learning in college is a lot deeper. So I spend less time reading and more time going over my notes and thinking about them critically, like what would happen if this thing was removed from the system or if this part was different. And so really deep thinking critically about my notes and not kind of just reiterating them. And also echoing what Kara said is working with other people, not only my peers, but also my professors, to talk out questions together and think about them deeply so that we actually understand what's going on.
Thank you. So I'm going to summarize a couple key points that I heard from both of you about this. One of them is you really talked about trying to understand the material rather than just trying to remember it, right? And trying to memorize it. It's getting in and really trying to understand what it is. And actually by trying to teach others, you develop that real deep understanding. You also talked a lot about starting early, right? Not putting things off, but kind of pacing yourself and getting into your notes and your work early on and continuing to that review process. So it's sort of like you're spacing out these study sessions. And you know, you think about an exam coming up, it's more effective to study 1 hour for 5 days in a row before the exam than it is 5 hours the day before the exam. So it's really about pacing yourself and doing that self-testing, you know, rather really trying to examine what you know and use your classmates to help you understand that. So thank you very much for those answers. All right, I want to turn now to talk a little bit about accessing your professors and utilizing, as you're studying, utilizing those professors as a resource. You talked about interacting with your students and peer-to-peer learning, and that is really important and helpful. But let's talk a little bit about the role that the professors play. So I want to do another poll here. What are office hours? Well, I promise you that exams at Cal Poly will be harder than this. Well, this is a fairly unanimous, no, it's actually entirely unanimous, 100%. It's a time for students to go to professors' offices and ask them questions or to get help. And that is exactly right. 100% of the people answered that. So I do have a question for folks about office hours and the importance of office hours. So I'm going to ask a couple panelists just to describe, everyone knows that they are there for students, but to describe the benefits of attending office hours. Ashley, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, thanks, Dean. I'll take that one. There's a lot of benefits to attending office hours. Attending office hours has helped me to just better understand topics and concepts that I'm having difficulty grasping. They've helped me reinforce what I've learned in class, and also they give you the chance to listen to other students' questions, which can be really helpful. Sometimes students will bring up things that you didn't even think about, and just helps you learn even more. I've also gone to office hours to ask professors about things that are kind of unrelated to things at Cal Poly, like opportunities outside of Cal Poly and resources outside of the college. Just looking forward and thinking about maybe what I want to do as an internship or after graduation. So just going to them as a resource has been really beneficial to me. And for the most part, all, if not most of my professors have just been really dedicated to student success. Most of them have had open door policies, meaning that their doors are open to any and all students during the time of their office hours, and they just really want their students to succeed. So for me, office hours has been really a huge part of my learning at Cal Poly, and I would definitely just encourage students to just be bold and ask questions. Don't ever be afraid to ask questions. I think that's one of the greatest ways that students learn, and just even step outside of their comfort zone sometimes, but in the end, it's definitely worth it.
Laura, do you want to provide us some insight as well?
Yeah, I would definitely echo everything that Ashley said. I think that office hours are great. They are so intimidating at first. You'll realize in the first week or two of classes, especially when we are in person and even over Zoom, it's kind of intimidating to, log on to Zoom. You don't know if other people are in the office hours. It might just be you and the professor, and that is intimidating. We've all been there, but echoing what Dean said earlier about starting early, the last thing you want is to wait until your midterm halfway through the quarter, realize you don't understand anything and feel like you're playing catch up until the final. As soon as you have questions, go into office hours, start asking questions. Not only is it going to help answer those questions that you have, but it helps to start to build that relationship with your professors, which in the long run, that's where you're going to get research and internship opportunities. And after college, what are you going to do and all of that. And also, I have a lot of professors as a math major, math professors create their exams. And if they have 5 students come in all with the same question, they might be like, that's a really good question to put on an exam. So the more you go into office hours, the more questions you ask. Not only are you going to get your questions answered, but like Ashley said, you get to hear other students' questions, things you might not have even thought about. You might not have even gotten to that problem yet that they're asking about, but you can make a mental note. Okay, the professor said this about this problem. But yeah, they're super intimidating at first. Even now, I'm going into my 3rd year, sometimes logging on to those Zoom office hours. It's like, is anyone else going to be there? Is it just going to be me and the professor? I've never met this professor before, but it's going to be okay. The professors at Cal Poly love to help students. That's why they're there. That's why they have office hours. Office hours are for you to come in and ask questions. They want you to ask questions. They want you to succeed. So make sure you're utilizing that resource.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, it is, just to reiterate, building that relationship with your professors is really critical. And having them get to know you as well as you getting to know them, both around the discipline that they're teaching and about your general interests and what you want to do after you graduate. They are a huge resource, both for connections to that next step in your career, either through letters of recommendation, or they have connections to colleagues at other campuses that you might want to go and do work with, or connections to industry. All of that is really important in developing your interactions and relationship with professors. Helps not only in the immediate sense of the course content, but it helps build pathways for your future as well. And that they are there to support you and to help you, not only with the course, but where you want to go and what you want to do. And they're a huge resource for that. So take advantage of those office hours. I remember as a student, it just hit me. I was taking a physics class and I had to work very hard to do well in that class, like many of my classes. But I would arrive, he had a 7 a.m. office hour. And I would arrive twice a week during that 7 a.m. office hour. And he was always happy to receive me, and a little surprised that this student kept arriving at 7 a.m. But it was so critical because it really did, it does help to spend that time with professors. Okay, so thank you for that. I want to turn a little bit now to less about studying and how to approach office hours and working with faculty, to talk a little bit more broadly about self-care and well-being. So we're going to do another couple polls here. I just want to get some feedback. How many hours a night do you sleep? Okay. Well, we'll share those results. And as you can see, the mode and average is, somewhere around 7 here. And that's not a small number. That's really good. 8 or more is fantastic. But we're all different. So I don't want to, I'm getting a phone call. 1 second. We're all different and we need different amounts of sleep. You have to determine how much you need and you know what that is, but it's really important to get that. So I want to take another poll here as we think about self-care and well-being. How many hours a week do you exercise? All right, terrific. So people are active for the most part. 3 to 5 hours a week. That's pretty. That's a good amount of exercise. And those two things, sleep and physical activity, are really important. There's actually research that shows that good sleep and good physical activity contribute to being able to perform and do well in school. So they're not disconnected from what's, from your performance and your ability to do well and focus in school. So keep that in mind. And I want to ask the panelists here a question, because there's all sorts of things that you can do to lead a healthy and productive lifestyle. It's not just sleep and exercise. Those are two good components to be thinking about. But I want to ask the panelists here, what do you do to lead a healthy lifestyle at Cal Poly? Carly.
Hi, yeah. I would say being able to accept that my healthy lifestyle is actually probably different than others. There's no one lifestyle that works for everyone. For me, mental health was extremely important, and especially in college, it's something you really need to be aware of. I personally actively go to therapy and work with my psychiatrist to improve the quality of life in the ways I can. When it comes to my physical health, if I'm content if I can say, I ate more vegetables than yesterday, or I went on a hike when I usually don't. These little small things help me reach my concept of being healthy. And, it's not the epitome of mainstream health, because I'm drinking a soda right now. And that's 100% okay. Maybe not all the sodas I drink, but.
That's great, Carly. Thank you. I think you make an important point that it's different for different people. And part of what folks are doing is you're getting to know who you are and what you need to do to manage your well-being and lead that healthy lifestyle. So, Komal, do you want to take that one as well, please?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like Dean said, having getting enough sleep, exercising and moving your body, eating well, those are all really important things, as well as making time to, spend time, for me, spending time with my friends is a big part of how I stay healthy. And, journaling and all that stuff is really important. But I think the thing that, anyone can tell you to do those things and you need to do those things, but until you actually make it a priority, that is something I always struggled with. When you're in college, nobody's going to tell you to get out of bed and go to class. Nobody's going to tell you to go to the rec and move around. Nobody's going to tell you to not eat Chick-fil-A every day. But it's really that commitment to yourself that makes a really big difference in living a healthy lifestyle. And I don't know, for me, when finals come around, sleep is the first thing I throw out the window, even though that's the thing I probably need the most. And I think also is knowing your resources is really important. We all struggle and need help with something different. And so knowing what Cal Poly has available, I think is really important, because there's always someone on campus who's willing to help you with something, whether if it's you need to talk to someone, whether you need access to food, whether you need support in your classes. All of those things contribute to living a healthy, happy life. So I think it's important to know your resources and reaching out for help when you need it, because there is always going to be someone on the other side.
Thank you, Komal. Thank you, Carly. I think you both made this point that really you need to attend to all aspects of your health, and your emotional and mental well-being are just as important as your physical well-being. And there are resources on campus to help with that. And we all do struggle with that as well. I think it's something that's really important for everyone to recognize. And that is that, you know, no one is immune from those things. And it's not, it is critical that we practice that care for ourselves and that we understand what we need, and we seek out those things that support us and help us be healthy. So thank you both for sharing that. I have a question. You know, we're in a unique time. That's without question, at least, you know, over the last 100 years, this is a unique time. And so, you know, we're all coming here, and something that's very important is being able to build community. And so I want to ask the panel a question about how do you connect with your friends in a safe way during the pandemic? And how do you continue to build that community even though we're living in this remote lifestyle? So Laura, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, definitely. So there have been a few different ways because we were completely virtual for spring quarter. So now it's been about 6 months that we've been virtual. And one of the main ways I've stayed connected with people is through my club's events. I'm in Math Club. I'm the president of Math Club. I'm also in the Association for Women in Mathematics. And, you know, we're still having our virtual events. So I get to see my friends, connect with them that way. Doing FaceTime and Zoom calls to study with people is great because you still get to have those interactions. It's not the same when it's over email or text or GroupMe or whatever it is, but being able to see them even one-on-one, FaceTiming people, not even talking about classes, just, hey, how's it going? How's your family? How's your dog? We love to share videos and pictures of our dogs. But also kind of integrating, like we were talking about healthy lifestyles, integrating exercise. This summer, I lifeguarded at the pool here in Thousand Oaks, and, you know, I'd swim with my coworkers. It's one person per lane. I know Kara, I think, still works at the rec center. They're open now. All outdoor activities, you have to reserve a spot, all of that, but it's great because I would be able to swim in my lane. I had my coworkers next to me. We'd be able to talk to each other 6 feet apart, but still being able to not only have those interactions with people and get to see them in person, but being healthy, exercising, doing something good for my body and good for my mind, getting to see people is great. It's great that the rec center is open. I'm looking forward to getting to use that. I'm excited for that, but that's the main thing is my club's events, and exercising, going on hikes. If you're in SLO has a lot of great hikes, but making sure, you know, keeping the distance, wearing masks when you can't, all of that. Overall, you can still see people, you just have to be safe about it.
Thank you, Laura. Sam, do you want to contribute here?
Sure. I would say the best way to do that is to become friends with your roommates so that you're always hanging out with your friends. But that aside, I would add on to that by saying right now, so gaming is a great way to connect, to stay connected with your friends, whether it's esports like League of Legends or Overwatch, or just party games like Jackbox party games. I don't know if any of y'all have heard about that, but that's an amazing way to be super interactive with your friends. I would say join clubs, even though it might be all virtual, it's still a great way to make new friends, a great way to stay involved, make sure you're staying up to date on that. Use apps like Zoom or Discord or Facebook, make Snapchat groups. Always constantly be using those avenues that are available to you to check up on friends, make new friends, and I would say that that's on top of what Laura has said. That's like the best way to stay connected and and to stay connected with your friends during this time. You can also do some outdoor stuff, but make sure that you're following guidelines, socially distancing, wearing masks. I know over the summer, a few of my friends, we had picnics where we would go to an open field, everyone 6 feet or more apart. We would have our own food, but it was just nice being able to see all of them again, but also making sure that we are cognizant of the fact that we need to stay safe so that we can make sure that we do our part in suppressing the spread of the coronavirus.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Laura. I want to stay on this theme a little bit of building community, you know, and academic success. It's only one measure of success here at Cal Poly. How we treat each other is equally important and has a very real impact on how students perform in their classes. And I had significant privileges all through my education as a white, cisgendered, straight man. And this is despite being a first generation student raised by a single mother. I was a low income student, you know, paying my way through college, first generation, as I said. And I still, though, clearly had very significant privileges. And I'm calling on all students and all faculty and all staff to educate themselves about systemic racism and the privileges that you've inherited as a result of your skin color or your parents' education level, your economic status, or your sexual orientation or your gender identity. At Cal Poly and in the College of Science and Mathematics, we're dedicated to treating one another with love, empathy, and respect. And you'll see these pins around on folks in our college. And it's really, this approach and these values are so critical in this very difficult time that we're living in. And so you should know that privilege, it comes in many, many forms. And just because you see a dean or a professor or a fellow classmate, don't make assumptions about them or about their path to Cal Poly. I encourage you to get to know people, and you can let that knowledge of them inform your understanding of them, and it will also inform your understanding of who you are. So, you know, one privilege I do know that we all share and you all have is you are a student at one of the nation's premier institutions of higher learning. And I ask that you consider during your time here how you will use that privilege to do good for your community and to do good for this world. So related to that, I want to ask another question about connecting and building community here in the College of Science and Mathematics. So Carly, can you tell me, how do you build and connect to community at Cal Poly?
Yeah, so that's my dog, if you can hear. I personally have built my community by facilitating connections between different groups of people to chemistry and playing an active role in my department. I have met many different people through the roles I've taken on, like for example, through my clubs. I've lost to my organic chemistry professor in air hockey, had events where professors were playing Mario Kart on my Switch, and I even lost to my inorganic professor's 4-year-old daughter in bowling. And so my college experience has been way more than just school, but the foundation of my community is chemistry and sharing my excitements about this field, especially through research, putting myself kind of out there and trying to be a mentor for other incoming students, trying to reach out and figure out what students feel like they need and what I can do to bring that to them. And I think especially during this virtual time, being able to reach out to people you may not have talked to in a while within your department or within not even your department, I guess, but just anyone, is another way to really bring out the community in Cal Poly. I actively reach out to alumni who were in my research group. That also reinforces a community that, you know, Cal Poly isn't just college, you know, it extends out past that, past your 4 years here, or however long you spend.
Great. Thank you, Carly. Yeah, we hope that you build a community that lasts a lifetime and carries with you, as you're saying. Kara, do you want to take that one as well? How do you build community? Oh,
So one of my favorite ways to build community is when I was in person, I would just sit in Baker and just talk to people who walk by. And that's a really easy way to also see professors and stuff. In this virtual setting, how I build community is making sure that like within my classes, we have like group chats or like video calls without professors, or like we all go to office hours together and we talk about like what our school is. And I also make sure that I spend time with my friends that's like distanced from school. So we'll set up like separate time just to talk, or like maybe we'll just like eat dinner over FaceTime together. Or like one really funny thing happened to me yesterday and I immediately called my friend, like she was standing right next to me, and I was like, listen to this thing, this is really funny. So that's some of the ways that I keep in contact with my community and make sure that like college isn't just school.
okay. Thank you, Kara. Sam, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll just take that one real quick, and I'll just touch up on something that all y'all can look forward to once we no longer have to, once it's no longer necessary to keep up these mitigations for COVID-19. I would say that you're probably going to meet a lot of your friends while you're in class or studying. As I think Kara kind of, when we were discussing this earlier, Kara kind of mentioned how in organic chemistry you make a lot of friends because all of you are struggling together because you don't understand anything together. So those kind of interactions is where you're going to be able to build and connect to a community. It will also be where when you're at club events, or I would say club showcase is also a really amazing place. Maybe next year, hopefully next year, where you'll be able to interact with a lot of people in person, and you'll be able to make a lot of great friends that way. But until then, I would still say stay safe, follow guidelines. You can still make a lot of friends through Zoom in your classes. Just it takes a little bit more effort because you're going to have to reach out to individuals or groups of individuals. But remember, clubs are still here. You'll be able to participate in these events virtually. And then once the coronavirus is no longer a danger to public health, something to look forward to. Just talking with strangers at the Kennedy Library, just like, hey, can you help me with this? And who knows, you'll maybe end up being great friends for the rest of your time at Cal Poly.
Thanks, Sam. Okay, we're right down to the end here, but I have one more question for a couple of you, and we're going to go to Ashley and then Kara here, and that is, and then we're going to get you all to your department meetings here. So here's the final question: if you could travel back in time, what suggestions or advice would you have provided yourself during this week of welcome? Ashley.
So if I could travel back, I think that I would tell myself to just take each day one day at a time and to not expect perfection from myself. I realized, especially freshman year, that college has a lot of ups and downs, and especially in the beginning, it takes some time to adjust. Some days might feel lonelier than others. There might be some days where you're questioning if you're in the right major, what you're going to do after college. And I would just tell myself that questioning is okay, that it's okay to question and to doubt, and that's normal, but to not let those like uncertainties overcome me and make me not want to connect with other people, or to stop asking questions, or to stop pursuing the things that I'm passionate about. I would just tell myself to keep doing what I enjoy doing, keep studying what I'm passionate about, even if I don't know what the end result is. and to just really have grace with myself and with other people, and to remember that myself, as well as all of my friends and peers, you're really more than your academic achievements. All the experiences that you have in college, both inside and outside of the classroom, are really shaping you as an individual, helping you discover what you're truly passionate about, and just what's most important to you. So I would say all of those things to myself coming in as a freshman.
Thank you, Ashley. Kara.
So the first thing I would tell myself is that if I think I don't need to study for something, at least just look at my notes, because I made that mistake several times, or go sit in off hour and don't talk, because that's also studying, or turn to the person next to you and be like, hey, do you get this? I think I do, but let's talk about it. And then the other thing I would tell myself is it's okay to just join one thing and that's it, your first year or your first quarter, because you'll have people all around you who are doing so many different clubs, or they're starting research like right off the bat, and it's okay to just take a break and like just join one thing and find like at least a couple of people that you can hang out with during your first year. That might not be your core group for the rest of college, but as long as you find that like one thing you want to join, then that would be what I tell myself.
All right, thank you. Well, Komal, Carly, Ashley, Laura, Kara, Sam, I so appreciate that all of you gave me the time to be here with you, to listen and learn, and that you provided your insights to our new students. I just, reflecting on everything that you've said, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of knowledge and wisdom and expertise here that you've provided in ways that only a fellow student could. So thank you very much. And to all of you who are here, thank you for choosing Cal Poly. Thank you for coming here, even if it's remote and virtual right now. You will be here, and you are here as part of our community, and you're gonna make us better than we are now. So thank you very much. You're going to your department meetings at 11, that's in 5 minutes, and the Zoom links are popping up in the chat for you right now, so you can access them there, or they're also available on the college website. So thank you, welcome to Cal Poly, and have a great time at your department meetings and a terrific WOW week. Great to see you. We're gonna turn our video off now while you get the Zoom links and head to the department meetings. Thanks for being here.